Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdes, America's favorite late-night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdes.
Hi there, good evening, and what's up, America? I am Rich Valdes, Valdes with an S, at Rich Valdes on all of the social media. An honor and a blessing to be on this microphone with you guys tonight, live and national. Here's the phone number, 833-4825-337, 833-4-VALDES. And if you haven't heard it by now, you're going to hear it now. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, assassinated today in Utah, doing what he's done thousands of times, holding court, right? Holding an open conversation, political discourse with the body politic. And again, Charlie Kirk, this guy sets up a table, he sets up a tent in the quad, talks to college students. He's amassed this massive movement. And one of the things that he said a while back, a couple of years ago, I posted it on my Instagram page. I think we have a clip of it. Mr. Good in the control room tells me he has it. I want you to hear what he says. This is how this man conducted his life. This is how he lived. This is what he did. Check this out.
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone.
When people stop talking, that's when violence happens. And what did he do? He wanted to keep talking. He wanted to keep the conversation going. He wanted to make sure that this country did not erupt into civil war. He wanted to make sure that he stood up for what was right, but he did so respectfully, as a good person, as a Christian person. I got to tell you, if you were to tell me of a number of people in this business that they were going to put a bullet into, I'd say, oh, man, I could see why the left hates them. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I never in a million years thought it would be Charlie Kirk. And I knew that there were death threats against him. I knew that he had security. I knew all of that. But he was just such a nice guy. And honestly, he wasn't advocating for anything that was horrible. You know, I've seen some in the media today portraying him as polarizing. But he wasn't polarizing. He wasn't bombastic. The guy was an intellectual. He was, you know, really ahead of his time, very prescient on so many issues. I met him when he was still in his 20s, a couple of years back. And really just a gem of a person, very, very nice guy, very, very humble guy. Truly a loss tonight as America mourns the loss of this man. But bigger, I think, you know, and not to minimize any of this, but yes, we love Charlie Kirk, and amen, God bless him, his family, all of that. He's left a tremendous legacy. But the bigger issue here is how far the left has gone, how they've crossed this line to assassinate those they disagree with. They've been calling for the violence forever. They've been mocking the violence. They have, you know, Kathy Griffin, remember, holding the head of a decapitated Trump, thinking that this is cute, thinking that this is funny. And all I could say is, look, every day I get on this microphone, I'm definitely one of the radio hosts in America that I believe is willing to have dialogue. I try to be kind, you know, even if I call you a pendejo every now and again. Sometimes they deserve that. But I try to engage in open dialogue. I really do. Charlie Kirk was, you know, years ahead of me on that, right? He was very nice. He was willing to have that half-hour conversation. I'm willing to have a 2 or 3 minute conversation. But the left, none of this is satisfactory to them. In the midst of him getting shot, an hour, half hour before we knew he was killed, what do we get? We get folks from MSNBC, And again, particularly MSNBC. MSNBC, who is so bad that NBC News wants nothing to do with them and said, we want our name back. We want our logo back. You can keep the MS, change it to MS Now. They and their guests, not Rule, it was Katie Tur. Katie Tur and I forget the other guy's name, but Matthew Dowd, having this conversation. And I got to tell you, just absolutely reprehensible, the conversation that they're having. I want you to listen to cut number 11. Listen to this.
We don't know any of the full details of this. We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up on what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. The environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
Now, she's trying to interrupt him there. Now, you would think she's trying to interrupt him to perhaps say something like, we don't know what this man's fate is going to be. Let's have a little respect. I doubt it. Instead, she went on to say, Matt, we do have confirmation from Turning Point USA that he was, in fact, shot. They knew he was shot. That's why they were talking about this. But more so, this man, Matthew Dowd, sir, you are a tremendous pendejo. And yes, he's apologized, I'm sure, at the behest of MSNBC. But let me tell you something. What world do you live in where you think that somebody's not going to do something to you in real life? And I'm not calling for violence against this man. Let that be on the record and be clear. But I come from a place, right? And I don't think Brooklyn, New York is that special of a place. But if you've grown up anywhere where there were people on the street, you think you could talk like this about somebody who was just shot or killed and that somebody's not going to take offense? That you're going to say that he said hateful things? What hateful things did Charlie Kirk have to say? That men should marry women? That little girls should be free to play in sports without little boys pretending to be little girls in those sports? That people that enter the country illegally ought not to live here? These are hateful things. These are political disagreements. This is part of the public discourse. This is not some reason to go and kill anyone. But for this Matthew Dowd to come in here and say that, let me read this quote to you, and I think that's the environment we're in, he says, that people just can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts. You have, and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place. Excuse me? So I should presume that my words are hateful to someone in their view, and I should expect awful actions to take place against me? I should expect that I should be killed, that my children shouldn't have a father because I said what I believe is true? Matthew Dowd, you're a tremendous pendejo. Matthew Dowd, you are a coward. You are half a man. I wish I could tell you how I really feel, but I'd get in trouble with the FCC. I'm truly disgusted with you as a human and as a man, if I can even call you that. You don't talk like that. You just don't talk like that. And this is coming from a guy who talks smack every day. But you got to measure your words, and you've got to be able to stand up for your words. I don't make apologies for what I say. You know why? Because I mean what I say. This guy, what a loser. What a loser. And the girl, she's the same way. Anyway, a couple of years ago, at one of the Turning Point events, my good friend Jesse Holguin was there. Now, Jesse Holguin, if you don't remember, he's someone that knows what it's like to be shot. Jesse was shot. He was a gangbanger in East L.A., and he got shot in a gang fight, and he was paralyzed, and now he's in a wheelchair. And a couple of years ago, he was invited by Charlie Kirk to speak at one of the Turning Point USA events. So in a little bit, we're going to bring Jesse on the show to talk about his reaction to the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk today, what it was like, dealing with Charlie Kirk during his time, and, of course, all of your thoughts and calls as, we mourn the loss of Charlie Kirk, a real icon, a real hero in America, and really just a horrible day, a stain on the history of our country. Bigger than Charlie Kirk. Today's the day, in my opinion, that the left took yet another step towards becoming the political movement for evil, the one that embraces murder and assassination. It's horrible to say that, but sadly, they made that true today. More true than it was yesterday. And yesterday was pretty true as well. Keep it locked right here. I'm Rich Valdes.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdes.
Well, thank you, Rich, and thank you for everything. I know you very well, and I listen, but I have a lot of people that listen, and they love your show, and I appreciate it very much.
America at Night with Rich Valdes.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory. May God watch over his family. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
That, of course, President Trump speaking from the Oval Office moments ago, making this address to the American people regarding the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I've got to say, measured words. I salute the president for being as eloquent and on the money there. Very presidential is the word I'm looking for, I guess. I know a lot of people here are very sad, very shocked, and a lot of people are very pissed off. And it's this vacillation of emotions that I think so many of us are going through. Because you know what? The left will criticize us very quickly and say, you know what? Where was all that emotion when they're killing all these little kids in Gaza every day? When they're killing this, when they're killing that, when they're killing... Yeah, guess what? Everyone expects to be some sort of collateral damage in war. And it is horrible. It is horrible. But when you start to see things very close to home, number one, not a war in a different country, but things that are happening right in your own country, to people that you know, like I said a couple of years ago, talking to Charlie Kirk, nicest guy in the world. And by the way, we had some months ago, or maybe a year ago, we did an interview with him. We'll be replaying that in the third hour of the program, as well as a couple of snippets of it throughout tonight and this hour and next hour. But people are angry, and I think it's okay to be angry, but biblically speaking, and I'm no preacher, but the word says, "Be angry and sin not," and I think that's the goal tonight. The goal tonight is to do that and to keep in mind that we're not the bad guys. I want to bring in our guest. Momentarily, we're going to take a pause, but we're going to talk to Jesse Holguin. Jesse Holguin, of course, as the founder of the LEXIT Movement, Latinos exiting the Democrat Party because he woke up, he smelled the coffee, and he said, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what Latinos are all about, where the Democrats are going. And Jesse Holguin, the music is about to kick in. We're going to have to take a pause. But A, I want to welcome you. And B, I just want to ask you, when you decided to leave the Democrat Party, did you think that we would be where we are today, where those on the radical left would become assassins?
No, brother, I didn't think it. I seen the writing on the wall. I seen that it was evil. Party was pushing all evil, godless agenda. So I seen it, but never did I think it would be this full-blown bad how it is. But because when we look at, we have politicians like Trump said it perfectly. You still there?
Right there, the music means we got to pause, but we're going to come right back to you, Jesse. And I really want the audience to, A, hear your story, B, hear your heart and your thoughts on this moment. Again, we're coming back with Jesse Holguin. He's spoken at Turning Point events in the past, the founder of the LEXIT Movement, and he himself has been shot. He's a former gangbanger. He's seeing the light of Jesus. Folks, we're coming right back with Jesse Holguin. I'm Rich Valdes.
The best guests, the best opinions. This is America at Night with Rich Valdes.
All right, amigos, welcome back. And we are mourning the assassination of Charlie Kirk, conservative activist, founder of Turning Point USA, who created this amazing movement and was savagely, brutally, hatefully gunned down today for speaking his mind. And I got to tell you, as much as I had love for Charlie Kirk, the biggest issue here for me is the fact that I feel like we're in a country that's going the wrong way and incredibly quickly. There's always been shooting in the country. There's always been disagreement in our country. But there hasn't always been shooting over political disagreement. Now, there has been in the past. I'm not going to get it twisted here. In 1954, a bunch of people that felt Puerto Rico should not be a part of the United States, they decided they were going to go to the United States Capitol and kill themselves a congressman. And that's what they did. These 4 people went there and they shot a congressman. And they went on to set bombs off. And this was part of a larger movement of a radical leftists, the Weathermen, the Weather Underground. These people were bombing federal buildings. People died, including we had Joe Connor on the other day. His dad died when they bombed Francis Tavern in New York City. So political violence and the murdering of people is nothing new. But this was very targeted, right? When you bomb a bar, and I'm not trying to minimize anything, but if you bomb a bar filled with people to make a statement, it's an act of terrorism, no doubt. You still murdered these people, but you didn't go there to kill that guy. Today, 1 shot was fired, and that 1 shot had Charlie Kirk's name on it because of who he is, because of what he loves, Jesus, this country, his family, the right thing. And that is what's scary. Christianity is under attack. America is under attack. Free speech is under attack. And that's not something that we can allow. Just can't allow it. I want to bring our guest back in. Jesse Holguin, thanks for your time and your patience as we're covering some of the breaking news and the announcement that we just played from President Trump. But Jesse Holguin, I want to remind the audience again, you Mexican kid from East L.A., got involved in gangs, you got shot, you got paralyzed, ended up in a wheelchair. Now you're a big political activist. You are an ambassador for your Lord and your Savior, Jesus Christ. You're trying to make peace in this world, and yet today we see some of this senseless stuff going on. Talk to us, brother.
Yeah, brother, I was angry and sad, but I'm not too, we all knew that this was coming one day, sadly, because the rhetoric from the left, like in Trump's speech, he was saying it perfectly, like the way how they villainize us, call us Nazis and all this bad rhetoric. Like I've had threats against my life, and threats that I'm sure you probably did. I even think this was maybe like even a message to all of us to shut up and see, because Charlie was so brilliant. I think he was the brilliant of all of us, of all the conservatives, influencers, and all that. To me, I think he was the greatest. He was brilliant, and they couldn't beat him in the debate. So see how the left is. If they can't beat you or whatever, they always get violent. This is always the left, and it's because of the leftist politicians. And the main ingredient too is the fake media. The fake media has been pushing this racial divide and this leftist hateful, and it's just so funny that how they always try to say that we're hate, you guys hate, and this and that, when they're the actual haters. They call us what they are. They're the haters. They're the ones that always, all the violence, they try to kill Scalise, shot at Trump. Like every time there's a evil whatever thing, it's always the left. It's always the left, and it's because of their politicians. Just always they're doing it. To me, like you said, when I first started, I'd never thought so. But as I was been into this politics stuff, I was expecting something like this eventually was going to happen, because the left, the way that the rhetoric, the way that they're pushing it, they're hateful, everything against us, it was bound to happen. Sadly, that's why God's so good that Trump called it out, and that's what Charlie Kirk, he devoted his life to calling it out, and he's a great one, man. Imagine he's only 31, and I was just talking about him the other day, that he was only 31 years old, and look at how big he would have been for sure. But I think president one day, he would have been like the main dude on the Republican side. He was like a great one. And then what the greatest about him, though, that I loved was, like you said, his faith. That's why me as a Christian, I'm sad and angry and all that, but that's the hope that we have, because he was saved. He accepted Jesus as his Lord and Savior, so we know he's in heaven. So I know I'll see him again. That's the great blessed hope that we have as believers, when we're not as unbelievers when someone dies. When we know that somebody's saved, by Jesus, then it's different because we know we'll just see them again. But that was one thing I respected because you know me, brother. Anybody that knows my thing, my whole time, I've always represented the faith in the Lord. Because when I first started too, all the influencers, they would just post politics all 24/7.
But, and
But
Jesse, I
me
think a
and
lot
him
of
were
people,
like,
they don't know the backstory. I think a lot of people don't realize why your faith is so important to you, and it's because of your story, of your conversion and you getting shot. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I was an ex-gang member. I did years for shootings. I did years in the youth authority and in prison. And long story short, I was going to do another shooting, but I was working with my older boss, and he was an ex-gang member too, but he was my foreman. I was working as a painter, and he started sharing the gospel with me. That's why anybody that's hearing this, don't ever get discouraged when you're trying to share with somebody thinking that they're not hearing it, because I was a hardcore gang leader, everything at that time, and he shared. He took the time to share the gospel with me, and I got saved, and it changed my whole life. But I ended up going after the work, going through the shooting and all that, and I went to jail and all that. And then when I got out, I got shot and I got paralyzed. But when I was dying, choking on my own blood, I started calling out to Jesus, and I could say he saved my life and he saved my soul. But Charlie is one of the great ones because when I first started LEXIT, he gave, like, he had me, like you said, he had me speak at Turning Point 3 times when I first came out with LEXIT. But there's a lot of people have Charlie, that they owe Charlie a lot. Like, I know Anna Paulina, Candace Owens, Brandon Tatum, David Harris, me, like so many others that Charlie helped all of us. He helped us all in our movements and all that. He was a great platform. So that's why this is a great sad day for the conservative movement, because he was a great one, brother. He was one. Like, to me, I think he was the best of all of us.
Yeah, Jesse Holguin, I want you to stick with me. I want to come back and get some final thoughts from you on the topic of the hour, Charlie Kirk assassination, and of course a little bit on LEXIT and what you're doing and what you're up to, and how people can support what you're doing and how you do what you do. And amigos, of course, the phone lines are open if you want to call and share your thoughts on the news of today. Of course, big story of the evening, of course, the assassination on Charlie Kirk, a great American patriot. Keep it locked right here. I'm Rich Valdes.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdes. Call now, 833-4-VALDES. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDES. That's Valdes with an S.
Listen, I like your show. It's the best night show there is. I think you got the best spirit, the best emotions. You're real. You're really a good guy.
America at Night with Rich Valdes. Call now, 833-4-VALDES. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDES. That's Valdes with an S.
Some life advice, if you will. I'm only 30 years old, but we talk about how we need to turn around the declining birth rates, about how we need to revitalize the American spirit, how we need to increase church attendance and get to a country where you can feel comfortable leaving your doors unlocked. And right now we are seeing a form of a right-wing revolution happening across the West. We're seeing it in France. We're seeing it in Belgium. We're seeing it in the Netherlands. We're seeing it in Germany. And the United States has always been the lone beacon of freedom and sensibility in this chaotic world. But we are under threat and attack from this lethal and this pernicious virus, this ideology that has infested the entire civilization. And it's time for us to recenter our bearings, and that is what the call to action is in the right-wing revolution.
That is Charlie Kirk on this program, an interview he did with me a little more than a year ago about his book. And let me tell you, just good advice, he was right, right? It's because he was able to call things out exactly the way they were, which is what made him such a threat and made him so appealing to people who weren't in the know and said, man, this guy knows what he's talking about, and decided to jump on his movement for America. I want to bring back our guest, Jesse Holguin, founder of the LEXIT Movement, the Latino exit from the Democrat Party. That's what LEXIT stands for, LEXIT. And Jesse Holguin is a former gang member who was shot. He's now a paraplegic in a wheelchair, and he was dying, as he said, choking on his own blood, crying out for the Lord Jesus to save him, and he did. He's dedicated his life to ministry, to his country, and to the truth, and he's with us now. Jesse Holguin, what's going on with the LEXIT movement? Hispanics seem to be continuing their support for President Trump, despite what the left is telling us, that we should be upset about illegal immigration, we should be upset with Trump about everything, but yet it seems like more and more Hispanics are interested in the MAGA movement.
Yeah, because there's the lies, the left, like over here, especially in California, they were trying to make it seem as if it was a vendetta against Mexicans or whatever, that he was out to get Mexicans. So that's why even me on our Lexit pages, we were posting, we're like, it's not about race, it's about breaking the law, it's about being illegal. It doesn't matter what race, they're going after all races. So every time I was posting other, like Asians, blacks, other whites, all the other races too, getting detained anywhere, and like I said, so the left, how they just manipulate people with lies and rhetoric. It's just disgusting. It's a battle. That's what Charlie, like I said, that he devoted his life to do it. That's what we're doing, brother. That's what you're doing. We're just fighting the lies of the fake left, especially the fake media. That's the biggest weapon that the left has right now. Is the media is totally in cahoots with them. As a perfect example is that woman that was killed on the Ukrainian woman that was killed on the bus, whatever. They didn't even show that. You really see on all the medias, they weren't even really covering it. If it was the other way around, it would have been wall to wall coverage, nonstop coverage. But that's how it always. If it's a black person, or if it was a black killing a Mexican or a Puerto Rican or something, they don't even show it. It's only if it's a white perpetrator, that's the only, unless it's a liberal, unless it's a tranny or something like that, then they don't want to talk about it. It's just disgusting. The fake media now, they're just disgusting. That's the, like Trump said, that's the enemy of America, is the fake media.
I'm with you on this one. I really am, because when you look at how the media reacts to things, if it were anybody but a conservative that were murdered, assassinated, they would react like every other human being would. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. But instead, the one guy said, same guy, Matthew Dowd, this guy says, oh, maybe it's one of his own supporters shooting a gun in support of what's going on. Jesse Holguin, who talks like that?
That's what I'm saying. What ridiculous. They just can't help themselves. They're just so hateful and godless and evil that they can't even, at a time like that, they have to say something evil. It can't just be like, okay, because they don't even want to say prayers or something like that, because most Democrats are godless and all that anyways, but they're just so evil and hateful, brother. Like, we know, because I've been in the front lines at rallies and things like that. The left is just so hateful, bro. Sometimes I'm actually surprised that it hasn't happened sooner, bro, because the way that the left and all of them does, even especially CNN and all them, like, it's just bad, and it shouldn't be like that, because we're not like that. But if we're walking down the street right now, I see some dude walking with an Obama shirt on or whatever, I could care less. If he tells me, hey, I voted for him, I could care. Oh, cool, hey, like, I could care less. But they're not like that. If they know you voted for Trump or you're conservative, they'll hate you. Hatred. They'll attack you. Yeah, you have to worry about them attacking you, assaulting you, or telling you the most vile, disgusting things. Like, they're like, and why is that? I don't care who you vote for. I don't care if you're a Democrat. Why do you care
listen,
if I'm a Republican?
I agree with you. I think that if I disagree with you, I do care who you vote for, but I'm not going to hate you for it. I'm going to, I'm going to have a conversation with you. We might even get into a little bit of name calling. But I don't wish you death, and I don't wish any of my adversaries death. Right? I want us all to do well together. Jesse Holguin, before we run out of time, I want to make sure people can help you do what you do. How do people learn more about the work you're doing, and how do they support your work?
Just follow us on all social medias. Our biggest one is on Instagram. Just LEXIT on Instagram, and only on Facebook. We're real LEXIT, but on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the rest on Twitter are all is LEXIT. Just go to LEXIT, our LEXIT Movement.
Outstanding. Jesse Holguin, founder of the LEXIT Movement. Godspeed to you, sir. You are a gentleman, a scholar, a patriot. Stay safe out there, my brother.
You too. God bless you, brother. Yeah.
God bless. And amigos, we go to your calls. I've got calls from Washington, D.C., from Virginia, from Idaho, and more that are coming in right now. The phone number is 833-482-5337, 833-4-Valdes. And let me see, where do we go? We're going to go to Doug. Doug is in Clifton, Virginia, WMAL. Doug, go right ahead.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Rich. Just food for thought. Charlie Kirk's last name, Kirk, means church from the Old Nordic. And Charles comes from Carl, Germanic, which means free man. And I think that exactly describes him. He's a man of Judeo-Christian values of the West who lived free and spoke free. And this is exactly who the liberals, who the left cannot tolerate. And that's why he was assassinated. In fact, you could argue that Charles Kirk is a martyr for Western values. And it's a little bit more than interesting to me that he was murdered on September 10th, one day before September 11th, when nearly 3,000 of our fellow Americans were murdered by people who were against the West and against Judeo-Christian values.
Man, good points all around, Doug. Thanks for your call. Thanks for listening, and I appreciate it. And I didn't know all of that. Thanks for the lesson on etymology there. I thought you were going to say something like, his Charles Kirk, like James T. Kirk. He's the captain of the movement, and that he was as well. Brother, thank you for the call. Amigos, we're coming right back. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdes.
Charlie Kirk is a divisive figure, polarizing, lightning rod, whatever term you want to use. Why?
Well, he's one of MAGA's most prominent voices online.
That again, the same Matthew Dowd, who earlier said about the might have been a MAGA supporter, shooting a gun in celebration, as if there's a history of people shooting guns at MAGA rallies in celebration. This guy's particularly stupid, like extra stupid, if I can. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words, honestly, to think that these people are real people. It's almost cartoonish. And, of course, Katie Tur saying he's a divisive figure, polarizing, a lightning rod. I don't know about you, but that's how I would describe the great one, Mark Levin, right? Divisive, polarizing, lightning rod. Okay, got it. Charlie Kirk? No, come on. Guy was a uniter. He brought people together. Evidenced by all of his events. Incredibly well attended. Anyway, for the sake of time, I can't go to the calls here, but I'm going to ask you to hold on. I want to go to Marcus in Washington, D.C., Ed in Virginia Beach, Paul in Boise. There's a couple others. 833-482-5337. Coming right back with the rest of your calls. Keep it locked right here. It's Rich Valdes. We have FBI analysis, Navy SEAL analysis. A retiree from there is going to be giving us his thoughts on the events of today from a safety perspective, plus your calls. Don't go anywhere. I'm Rich Valdes.
Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdes, America's favorite late night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdes.
Hi there, good evening, and what's up, America? I am Rich Valdes, Valdes with an S, at Rich Valdes on all of the social media. Your liberty-loving Latino amigo. Happy to be here with you this evening, despite the terrible circumstances. If you want to give us a call, feel free. 833-482-5337, 833-4-Valdes. And I want to open up the phone lines to the callers who want to sound off on their thoughts and reactions on the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk today. We're bringing you live, continuing coverage of that. As of right now, the FBI has taken someone into custody and released that person. There is a manhunt on the way for the shooter. They still do not have the shooter. The shooter is at large. We're going to get some analysis from a retired FBI agent and former Navy SEAL in the next segment. But right now, I want to just, again, offer my condolences to Charlie Kirk's family, to the Turning Point USA family. I got to know them a little bit some years ago, Tyler Boyer and others, and they're good people, a wonderful organization doing amazing work, and this is truly a loss for America, and it's a sad day. It's a sad day when a young man, a good American patriot, decides to go out there and do what he does. He's done it thousands of times, speaking at college campuses, getting people to engage in conversation. And what happens? Well, they shoot him dead because they can't handle the back and forth. They can't handle losing an argument. Really, absolutely horrific. Anyway, I want to continue our conversation with, of course, you all, we the people, but I can't do that until I play this additional clip. And I have an additional clip here of Katie Tur. And again, Katie Tur, she was live when this was happening, so there's a lot of clips of Katie Tur out there today. But on this one, she says that Trump will use the Kirk shooting for justification for something. Listen to this, cut number 13, Katie Tur from MSNBC earlier today.
As we were just talking about a moment ago with Alan, after one of the Doge employees was allegedly attacked in Washington, D.C., that's what Donald Trump used as justification to send in federal troops into Washington, D.C. to get things under control. The carjacking situation, he used that. And I know it's hard to predict the future, Mark, but you can imagine the administration using this as a justification for something.
I must admit, I'm at a loss to guess as to what happens next.
Of course, he's at a loss, but really, it's her comments I want to focus on here. What is wrong with this woman? Listen, I get it. I do this too, right? I get on, I beat up the left. I don't like your positions on things. You've never ever heard me talk about somebody that was shot dead, and if you have, then play the tape and set me straight. But I don't believe I've ever done anything like this. Right, we're sitting here saying that now because of Trump, because of Charlie Kirk getting shot, that Trump is going to use this as an excuse to do something. Now, I think what Trump did was what she says, and I think she aptly points out here, is somebody was attacked in Washington, D.C., a federal employee, and Trump said, you know what, this is a federal jurisdiction. I happen to be the federal chief executive, and we're not putting up with this anymore. And I would love it if Trump was in charge of Utah, too. I mean, maybe we could get this thing wrapped up tonight. We can get the assassin who's still on the loose right now. I think everybody in America, I would hope everybody in America wants this assassin caught. And if you don't, we got to ask ourselves why. What is the problem here? Are you so detached from compassion that you want to see a killer run free? And there are people out there like that. I saw a clip today on the topic from last night of the woman, Irina Zarutska. A woman went on social media saying, I don't give a bleep. I see people getting killed all the time and nobody cared. So, yes, I don't care about her. And I thought that was particularly callous and cold because circumstances matter. You know, she was talking about police-involved shootings and whatnot. And granted, I'm sure there are some innocent people that have been caught up. But for the most part, when we see these outrages over these police-involved shootings, you just give it a week. The footage comes out from the body cam, and oh, lo and behold, this innocent person that was a churchgoer and was a model citizen has a rap sheet with 15 offenses on it. And guess what? They had a gun in their hand. They had a gun in their waist. They were going for the gun. It's always the same story. And I always say the same thing. You're not allowed to pull a gun on a cop. They're literally trained to kill people who do that. And yet it's an outrage when it happens. This is an outrage. You are allowed to go to a college and have a conversation. You're not allowed to kill people because you don't like what they're saying. At least last I checked, that's the world we live in. I want to go to your calls. Let's see. We got a full call board here. Debbie, Canton, Ohio, WNIR. Debbie, go right ahead.
Rich, are you there?
I am here.
Yes. I've talked to you a few times.
Of course, I remember.
I'm not. I'm not a Trump fan, as you know, but I do like somebody like Charlie. What he was trying to do, I do appreciate his values and what he was trying to do. I'm heartbroken. It upsets me to my stomach. I don't know if I'm going to sleep tonight because we need more people like him. What he was trying to do. Okay.
Yeah. Amen.
Okay?
Debbie, let me tell you, I thank you.
Yep.
And you know, just to say, I always remember speaking with you. You're one of the cutest in Canton, Ohio, that calls this program. So thank you for that. But yeah, listen, Charlie Kirk is a class act, a genuine class act. This is not a guy that was divisive. He was smart. He was smart. He was well read. He was scholarly, and he skipped college. Right? He wrote a book called The College Scam. We interviewed him on that book as well. And let me tell you, this is why I think that they don't like him, because he figured out that college, in his opinion, was a scam. And he called them out on it. Really, really is a sad day for America. Let me see. Where else do we go? Marcus. Marcus is in Washington, D.C. He's been on hold. Thank you, Marcus, for holding. WMAL in the building. Line 2. Let's go with Marcus. Go right ahead, sir.
How you doing, Rich? Thank you for having this forum. I'd like to say Godspeed and blessing to Charlie Kirk's family, Charlie Kirk, yourself, and everyone else who is trying to expose the negativity on the left. I wanted to piggyback on what you said about Charlie being inclusive and bringing people together. I actually took my daughter to an event with Riley Gaines at University of Maryland. She's a fellow swimmer, and had spoken to Riley about just issues that she had that were similar. And Riley graciously said, hey, reach out to me. Here's my information. Call me about swimming or anything else in life that's bothering you. And just me thinking about when you said that forum was created because of the brainchild of Charlie and the other co-founders of Turning Point, this would have never happened. To also say that it really troubles me to hear MS Now, MS Crap, because one of the first things people do when they want to, they don't want people to care about things that we should care about, is they assassinate your character. So when they want to call Charlie a lightning rod and all these other things, he was a debater and he was inviting people into intellectual conversations. But what happens is that when people hear news like that, they'll say, oh, that's what that lightning rod was supposed to do. Oh, that's what that divisive person gets. Oh, that's what that fascist gets, because they start attaching the things to your character so you become desensitized. It happens in our community and gang communities. If we have 10 shootings in a gang area, most people lose their humanity because they believe this is what happened to gang people, and we've lost the fact that there are 10 people that got shot, and then it shouldn't matter. I absolutely abhor everything that everyone is saying about Charlie in this situation, instead of saying that it was a tragic event. The fact that Charlie was talking to teenagers, people who are, adults, and trying to explain to them and say, hey, it's one thing if you're going to come to school and learn subject matter. Just don't let the university give you an ideology. If you grow up and you develop an ideology, that's one thing. But I'd heard a long time ago in college, when I was in college, and they said, if you know the political ideology of your teacher, then your teacher has failed you.
Amen.
And
Preach on,
I
brother.
believe that Charlie was trying to tell people, do not let this college fail you before you've ever even taken a class. Do not let this college university system fail you, even though you don't see this test that's being given to you. Okay, let them teach you about chemistry. But my daughters were going to a school when we spoke with Riley. She came home and one day and said I was a cis something, but she wasn't reading on grade level at the time. And I was like, why is it that you all are teaching my daughter all this stuff about gender, and my daughter's not reading on grade level? What's wrong with this picture?
Yeah, that's insanity. That's insanity.
It is insanity, and I'm really heartbroken. I felt this way when Kobe Bryant passed away because I'm a father of 3. He's a father. He's a young father. He's 31, and look what he put together already. So, again, I appreciate you. Thank you for having this. Blessings to you and Jesse and anyone else who does this work, because the loons are out there, and the people in the positions of responsibility that we used to have the responsibility with the public media are still being irresponsible even in his death.
Thank you, Marcus. I really appreciate it. Godspeed to you, my man. It's patriots like you listening and participating in this discussion that make America better. And keep doing what you're doing, raising that great kid. Sounds like you're doing an amazing job. Godspeed, brother. And amigos, we will continue with the rest of your calls. I've got Jonathan Gilliam lined up. You may remember he's been on the show before. He is a retired Navy SEAL. He is retired from the United States FBI, and he knows a thing or two about these types of incidents, and we're going to talk to him to get his reaction on what's going on with this manhunt into the assassin that took the life of Charlie Kirk. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdes.
By the way, your ratings are up. Congratulations. Thank you, somebody. It's always nice to check. I like to see, even if they're friends, I like to see how are they doing. Are people listening, right?
That's
but
right.
You're doing great.
America at Night with Rich Valdes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bo Mason, Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety. Today at approximately 12:20 Mountain Standard Time, political influencer Charlie Kirk was shot in an event at the Utah Valley University. He was taken by private vehicle to Timpanogos Hospital, where he later passed. The Utah Department of Public Safety will be co-leading this criminal investigation to find this killer, along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We are working in unison with the County Sheriff's Office, the local police department, and the University Police Department, all of which have been very cooperative and fully engaged in this process.
That's Bo Mason, the Commissioner of Public Safety in Utah, that, again, announcing that they're on the job. And as of now, there's a manhunt on the way for Charlie Kirk's assassin. FBI had someone in custody. We also saw a video of an older gentleman being brought in by the campus police. Thus far, nobody is announcing that they've caught the assassin just yet. I heard some analysis from a former Navy SEAL on television earlier saying this shot was a 200-yard shot that likely could be taken by anybody who's shot a rifle at least once before. I don't know that I agree or disagree, but I know I myself have taken headshots in target practice from 100 yards, and I'm fairly accurate. So doesn't sound that surprising or that far-fetched, but I want to get some reaction from somebody who knows this stuff, who's been boots on the ground for many decades. He's a retired Navy SEAL himself, retired as well from the FBI. Jonathan Gilliam, welcome back, sir.
Thank you, buddy. Hey, just to let your listeners know, in case any SEALs or FBI are listening, I did not retire from the SEALs. I left the SEALs when my term was over. I don't want to make the retired guys mad.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
Just want to point that out.
Yes, sir. And I want to get your reaction to what's going on here because, You know, there's all sorts of talking out there. This was a professional hit. It was not a professional hit. There's one video I saw where a guy looks like he's giving baseball signs, and he's adjacent to Charlie Kirk, a guy in white. They played in slow motion. I don't know what to make of any of this anymore, but I want to get your thoughts. I know you're plugged in. You got some old friends that are on the job. What do you know? What can you tell us?
I really, to be honest with you, I don't know that much. I mean, I tell you what I do know is that Kash Patel needs to stay off of X, because he put out that they caught the guy, and then he came back an hour later and said that that guy was released. So what he effectively did was for an hour removed the force multiplier of the community around there, because they just assume, oh, they got him, so people are going to put their guard down. And it's very important, especially for the FBI director, to use, and for local and state law enforcement, to use the public as a force multiplier. They have to be willing to give certain aspects of information that they know in order to spur any knowledge from people that may understand or have knowledge of certain things, to call them. And they also have to be very careful not to say things like, we caught him, or we think this was just a lone shooter, because if they don't know that,
right. Well, I haven't seen anything
out.
like that. I just saw that, a person of interest was in custody and that they were released. But what do you think about the video cameras? I mean, this was a very public area. It was in the, open area of a college. Shouldn't we presume that there's a lot of surveillance, or would that be naive to make that presumption?
No, listen, that's the one thing that they have going for them, is that there are cameras everywhere. But so they usually can grab cameras and start at least seeing where a figure came from and where they're going to. But the problem is that once again, this is the third assassination attempt, and this one actually was an assassination, where we had people that either accessed the roof or were laying in wait with a rifle and were not discovered because law enforcement didn't do the proper threat assessment. And so this individual, just like in Pennsylvania, was able to get up on a roof and run across it, and people saw it, and then lay down and have enough time to take a shot without law enforcement or security being aware of it at all. And so threat assessments are the most important thing you can do. We do threat assessments, my company, all over the world. And what we find on a regular basis is that we end up having threat assessments, we do our threat assessments from the attacker's point of view. And then when we try to convince the security from the venue or law enforcement to put people in certain places, we run up against brick walls. And so I'm not saying they ran up against a brick wall here, but there definitely was not. I mean, how is a guy able to access a roof of a building, period, but access the roof during an event like that? And the only thing I can think of is that they either just don't walk the doors to the roof and nobody did a threat assessment, or the person works at the school and has access.
Both avenues that should be explored. Folks, we're coming right back with Jonathan Gilliam. He was a Navy SEAL and he was an FBI agent. We're going to continue to get his analysis on this and any updates on the manhunt that's underway for the assassin of Charlie Kirk. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks for what you do. You have so many people. You ask the questions that if the viewer had a microphone, they would ask that question, and you seem to always ask it right at the right time. So God bless you, my friend.
America at Night with Rich Valdes.
Side, we did have 6 officers working that event. We had probably over 3,000 people that were in attendance. It sat down in kind of a bowl area here on the central campus. We have a waterfall area, and so he was kind of in a lower area. surrounded by buildings. We had some plainclothes police officers that were in the crowd as well. We train for these things, and you think you have things covered, and these things, unfortunately, they happen. You try to get your bases covered, and unfortunately today we didn't. And because of that, we had this tragic incident. So we did have officers there. We had Charlie Kirk's team. He has a security team that travels with him, and they were here with him when he was shot. I'll tell you about our venue today. This was an open venue. This was outside.
All right, that is the police chief of the Utah Valley University Police. That's a clip from CBS News. I want to come back to our guest. Jonathan Gilliam was a Navy SEAL. He's also a former FBI agent, and I want to get his thoughts on what the chief had to say. Jonathan Gilliam.
Well, I think he was right. They didn't cover that base, and this is what results in that. But I'll tell you this, Rich, is that if I gave you a set of Legos and I said, hey, I want you to build, I gave you just rudimentary designs, I want you to build this Lego building, and you got it wrong, and I said, nope, that didn't succeed, try it again, eventually you're going to get that right. You're going to get it right if I give you enough instruction and give you the tools that you need. And that's what has occurred with all these different attempted assassinations and now an actual assassination, is that these avenues of approach have been left wide open, and it's either coordinated somehow. I mean, that's a conspiracy type of thought, or people just start to get it, and they start to realize if you're going to do this, this is where you go, and this is the avenue of approach that you have to take in order to carry out assassination in the United States. And that seems to be what it keeps happening. This is so similar to Pennsylvania that it's just remarkable that security did not look at that area and lock those doors and make sure nobody's on a roof. This wasn't just a parking garage. From what I can tell, this was a roof. So somebody gained access to a roof.
Yeah, no question. And look, right now, I want to know what you know about this or what you may have heard. I've seen some video of someone that looks like somebody laying down on a roof adjacent to where Charlie Kirk was, kind of like directly across. And the roof says Sparks Automotive. I don't know if that's an advertisement that's on the campus building or if that's an adjacent building that's next to the campus. But have you heard anything about that? Have you seen this video I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, I've seen the video. The guy's running all the way across the rooftop. It's almost identical to the Pennsylvania attack on President Trump. And no, I haven't heard anything about that, but just watching those videos over and over again I'm very leery. I'll tell you, Rich, I'm very leery of anything I hear from even people who are in law enforcement but are not on that case, because people these days love to speculate. So the good side of that is that there's so much information out there that pressure is on law enforcement not to hide things. And so that's a good part of it. But the bad part of it is you turn it on, and I've had people send me at least 3 to 4 different things saying this is a shooter, and there's no evidence. Somebody even sent me a tweet saying that this is a shooter. I went on X, saw the exact same tweet, but with a different picture that somebody else had posted. So, somebody's out there making these things up. So that you got to be very careful of that.
A lot of clickbait out there for sure.
Yeah.
Jonathan Gilliam, I want you to let everybody know how they get in touch with you, how they follow the work you're doing. Let us know what you're up to and how people can be involved with it.
They can always follow me on social media. Just look up my name, Jonathan Gilliam, Gilliam. They can, anybody has questions about stuff, let me know what you think of, or what your concerns are when it comes to security. If I can answer those questions, I will. And I have a book named Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival. Pretty good book. Hannity wrote the foreword for it, and it tells people how to do exactly what I'm talking about, which is look at yourself from the attacker's point of view. And they can order that on Amazon. And again, if they have questions, they get the book and they have questions, you feel free to follow me on social media and ask me the questions, and I'll answer them.
Jonathan Gilliam, thank you for your time. Thanks for your analysis. I appreciate it. Big takeaway today is this threat assessment has to include, a lot more than physical security, a lot more than a bulletproof vest, a lot more than you staying strapped, but checking the buildings, checking the roofs, and having enough manpower to do it. in case the cops aren't doing it. So it's definitely a yeoman's task. Thank you.
Who, why, when, where, and how. Always remember those things. You would attack you. If you do that, you'll probably figure it out before they do.
Yeah, very good advice. Jonathan Gilliam, everybody, make sure you check him out on X. Check out his book, get a copy. And, brother, we'll talk again soon.
You got it. Take care.
God bless. Amigos, we continue with your phone calls. We've got a lot of calls that we're going to get to. We're going to get to them straight ahead. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdes. Call now, 833-4-VALDES. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDES. That's Valdes with an S. Now, 833-4-VALDES. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDES. That's Valdes with an S.
The conservative movement, we tend to believe that we're always in decline and how we're in this doom loop. But no, we actually have a lot to celebrate. We have the Second Amendment is in a better place than it was 20 years ago. The fight for life, I'm very pro-life, is in a better place than it was 20 years ago. The courts are in a better place than it was 20 years ago. We control more governor's mansions and more attorneys general positions across the country than we did 20 years ago. If you don't know these things, then you've been kind of in a doom loop, and we paint an optimistic, forward-thinking, positive agenda, and we say that, hey, look, not everything we're winning on. There's plenty of things that we've lost in the last 20 years, but there's things we've won, things we can learn from, and the threat right now is wokeism. The threat is within.
That's a clip of Charlie Kirk and me. That was from our last conversation on this right here radio show. And spitting fire like always, right? He knew exactly what was going on, and he brought that heat. And it motivated people. It inspired people. A lot of people that listen to this program, big fans of Charlie Kirk, as am I. And my heart is broken over this. Let me tell you that there's a lot of people out there listening. My phone, I'm getting a lot of people. I hear people. Quick shout out to Dave Velez out in Houston, Texas. Shout out to you, brother. Who else we got? Will Hernandez, my guy Choco out in North Jersey listening to the show. And, of course, lots of people that are locked in on the phones here. I think we might not even have any phone lines open, so let me go straight to the calls. Let's see, where do we go? Who's been on hold the longest here? Let's go to Nance, Chicago, Illinois. Go ahead, Nance. WLS. All right. I guess Nance is no longer. Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please speak.
I'm a little appalled to hear Charlie continually described as a non-divisive person. His record is anti-LGBTQ, anti-woman. His version of Christianity was questionable, and that is if you really know Jesus is
well,
weird.
Nance, let me ask you, who is it questionable to? Would you say the people that think that Charlie Kirk's version of Christianity are in the minority or in the majority? And do you think they would say he's divisive? Do you think a majority of people would say he is a divisive character?
At this point, I do, yes.
Where would you find this majority? Because, mind you, he was a big supporter of President Trump's. And President Trump, I know, has been labeled as such. But Charlie Kirk, I don't think I could find many people like you that would say that he was divisive. And so far, you've given me some very broad strokes here. But what in particular about his stance? I mean, because if you think he's divisive, then you think I'm divisive, right? What exactly about what he did or said was dividing rather than uniting?
His belief in Christian nationalism, white nationalism.
Well,
his
he's
belief
never been
that,
on the record supporting Christian nationalism or white nationalism.
Well, that's funny. If you do a simple Google search
I don't
on
need to.
him.
I've had him on my program. I've hung out with this guy. He talked about the love of Jesus. This was somebody who was never talking about war. He was not somebody who was talking about dividing this country. I think he always talked about uniting the country. And if I had to just, look at the body of work he's left behind, he would write books that were very philosophical in nature, very intellectual in nature, and then he would have gatherings, big gatherings. Right. And maybe there was some disagreement. That's fine if you want to have a discussion and points of difference. But many people from different walks of life attended the Turning Point USA events. To me, that is someone who unites people and brings people to the table. That doesn't divide them, Nance.
Well, I can neither confirm nor deny that. He's a conservative. He was a conservative figure. I have to presume that he drew conservative audiences. But here's what I actually wanted you and all conservatives to understand. I am over 60 years old. I have attended every protest in the country, large and small, Washington, D.C., Chicago. There was always, and it didn't matter what we were protesting for, women's rights, even the anti-Trump rally shortly after he was elected. There was a spirit of camaraderie. There was some sort of peace in knowing that all of these people felt the same way you do, and I don't think I need to interject at this point. We are polar opposites in our politics.
Sure, and listen, I get that we're polar opposites. I take exception to people that want to, I guess, disrespect the dead or paint him in a light other than what he was. And I guess you're doing the same, right? You're saying, no, this guy was an evil monster and he was tearing this country apart and he was horrible to women, but he married one and he's raising one, right? He had a daughter. And this is the part where I think, to say that I believe it's a warped position for one to have. And perhaps we part company here, but I think one has to be very, very warped in their thinking to think that because we think differently, you are a danger. I don't think you're a danger, Nance. You just told me you've been to a million different protests and you're supportive of LGBTQ, which I'm not. You're supportive of a lot of things, which we probably don't agree on a lot of things. But I hope that we agree on the fact that because you and I disagree, I pray to God no one ever harms you. Especially for that reason. I don't know you, but I don't want any harm to come your way. But it seems like the people who disagreed with Charlie Kirk are celebrating the fact that he's hurt and that he was hurting today and he was killed. And that's something I think that you should agree is a bad thing, right?
That is a good thing. Nobody should celebrate the fact that a fellow human being has died, especially so violently.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that, Nance. I'm glad we were able to find that common ground. Godspeed to you. Thanks for listening. WLS in the building. I don't know if Nance was using something to change her voice or if that was just a really bad connection. But I always enjoy speaking with those that disagree with me. I want to continue. Where do we go from here? We're going to go to Kim, Cromwell, Connecticut, WDLC. Kim, go right ahead. You're on with Rich Valdes.
Yeah, hi, Rich. I just watched a couple of clips, not many out yet on the shooting there. First thing I noticed is they carried him off to a private vehicle there. And I imagine this guy is spouting a lot of blood out of the artery. So there was no EMS called, no campus health center contacts called or anything. And to go by ambulance would be much faster than trying to do it through a private vehicle and not having any kind of equipment at all. So I find something wrong with that. I'm a Red Cross instructor for 30 years, one of my gig jobs. The other thing is I don't think the area was scouted out safety-wise enough. It appeared like it had to be a long gun, probably from a height. I mean, did campus police consider all possibilities and map it out on a board?
It seems to me that they didn't. And we just had the campus chief on saying that they did not secure it that way. And I think that the assumption here was that if somebody was going to try to hurt him, it was going to not be from a rifle across from the roof of a building close by. And I think that's probably the misunderstanding of the century. Everybody now has to be prepared for that type of activity. If you're giving a speech, I was invited to give a speech in Washington Square Park, I think this coming Sunday. And guess what? I'm pretty sure they don't have the budget to provide that kind of security in New York City. And I doubt that the city's going to provide that level of security for an event like the one I was invited to. So everybody's got to think twice. I didn't accept the invitation yet, and I don't know if I'm available because I have a different commitment at that time. But my point is, I don't disagree with you. I think you should have access and egress routes for emergency in and out. There should be a lot of things planned. And I think, having done this 1,000 times and having, minimal incident, I think his security team thought they had this figured out. I think the police thought they had this figured out. And, of course, here we are at the end of the day, knowing that this wasn't figured out. Kim in Cromwell, Connecticut, thanks for your work with the Red Cross and everybody in Connecticut that's locked in right now. Folks, are coming right back. The rest of your calls, Texas, Ohio, Chicago, Idaho, and Vermont, coming right up.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdes.
Welcome back. Phone lines are jam-packed. We're getting to all of your calls. Don't go anywhere. We're going to get to everybody. Everybody will get a chance to react tonight. We've blown out the schedule, so the next hour of this program will be all calls and reaction to what's going on. And I want to go to Bill. Bill is in Amarillo, Texas, line 3, KGNC. Bill, go right ahead. You're on with Rich Valdes.
Yeah, I'm calling in. Thank you for taking my call. I'm calling in because how do terrorist groups operate? They lie and manipulate their followers to disrupt, kill, whatever, to do things. I mean, the leftist media is constantly. They have their followers, and their followers are following what they're doing.
Yeah. No, listen, I understand what you're saying. You're saying the media has blood on their hands. The left within the media have been calling for this type of violence for a long time, and it's finally here, right? And it was finally here on July 13th of 2024 when they tried to kill El Trompito Donaldus Magnus, the 45th and 47th president of these United States. And today they succeeded in killing a great patriot, a great American, a good human being. And I'm for one, I think that this is terrible. It's a horrible thing. And my hope is that patriots will keep a cool head and remember, we're not the bad guys. We're the good guys. We don't do what the bad guys do. But only time will tell. I'm looking forward to speaking with all of you great patriots. We've got folks from Arizona. My buddy Pat is on the line in Arizona. Who else we got? Tyler, Texas is on the line. Another call from Amarillo, Texas. Brunswick, Ohio. Chicago, Illinois. Riverhead, New York in the building. Getting to you guys momentarily. Idaho, Missouri, and Vermont. So just bear with me. We've got at least half a dozen, no, more like a dozen calls on hold, and we're going to get to you momentarily. And all your calls, all of your thoughts, all of your opinions are coming up right now, right after this break. And, of course, if you missed any of the interviews we did tonight, whether it was our discussion on, what it's like being shot and what it was like to work with Charlie Kirk, with Jesse Holguin, or even the conversation with Jonathan Gilliam on the threat assessment. There's a lot more to come. Keep it locked right here. I'm Rich Valdes.
Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdes, America's favorite late-night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdes.
Hi there, good evening, and what's up, America? I am Rich Valdes, Valdes with an S, at Rich Valdes on all of the social media. Welcome to the Wednesday night edition of the program. We're live, we're national. Our phone number, if you want to call us, we're still here for another hour, 833-482-5337, 833-4-Valdes. And, of course, we've been bringing you live coverage of everything that's going on with respect to the manhunt that is on the way for the person that assassinated Charlie Kirk. He was born in 1993. He was assassinated today brutally at the event he was hosting on the campus of Utah Valley University in Utah. And it's been an emotional roller coaster of a day, honestly, several days. Right before this, I was on a tear with the killing of this woman, Irina Zarutska. And then before that, I was on a tear about the killing of a young woman named Dakara Thompson. It seems like every day there's another brutal killing. And, you know, the two women were the same ages as my daughter. So those types of things hit hard. A guy who is a colleague in radio, Charlie Kirk, and again, radio probably being one of the smallest things he does. Prolific author, an amazing public speaker, the leader of a political action organization, the leader of a campus revival organization, just really an amazing guy who really showed up on so many levels. And it's an evening of mourning for many Americans, right? We mourn the loss of a very young man, a very talented young man. A lot of people commenting this evening that he likely would have been a great contender for president in a few short years. Obviously not old enough to run now, but definitely well-positioned to be a viable candidate, and just a brilliant guy. And we've been getting reaction from so many of you guys across the country, and we're going to continue taking your thoughts and your calls on this situation. And, a couple of years ago, I was invited to an event in Mar-a-Lago by the now director of personnel in the White House, Sergio Gore, hopefully soon to be Ambassador Sergio Gore. And it was a Turning Point event that was being hosted at Mar-a-Lago, and I hung out with Charlie Kirk for a little bit, and he was just an incredibly kind, nice guy. Just a nice guy. Wasn't arrogant. Not like some people in this business can be, and he was just a good man. That's all I could say. He was a really nice guy, and I've had him on the show. I think I had him on the show a couple of times for a couple of his books, and the last conversation we had was not this June, but the prior June, and it was regarding a book, and we talked about a lot of things about the book, about why he wrote the book. And I'm going to replay that interview for you probably in about 20 minutes. But until then, we're going to continue with your reactions, your thoughts, and all of that as we head into tomorrow, right, which is 9/11, the 24th anniversary of 9/11. So without further ado, I want to continue with your thoughts, your calls, and your opinions on everything that's going on. Let me see. Let's go to Doug. Doug is in Lynn Creek, Missouri on KRMS. Doug, you're on with Rich Valdes. Welcome.
Thank you, Rich. And first-time caller, long-time listener, and just wanted to thank you for this show and the chance to be part of your nighttime family. I lay a lot of this at the feet of Maxine Waters and the hate she spews constantly. Tim Walz, just hoping that somebody would shoot President Trump just a few days ago. And now this Matthew Dowd guy. I just don't understand what kind of thinking these people are doing.
It's called hate. It's called hate, Doug. Something hopefully you're not familiar with. Hopefully you didn't grow up like that.
Well, we're just a little town of 200 people, and we don't love each other, but we do respect each other.
Yeah, listen, that's kind of how it was where I was growing up, right? You didn't have to love everybody. Sometimes you didn't even like those people. But there was an old saying, you don't start none, there won't be none. That's one thing. You respect the people around you. And if you disrespect them, be prepared for the disrespect. But we've come into a new era where it's almost expected that you're going to be disrespected in some regard, right? Just put on a MAGA hat. Right? You live in Missouri, so maybe that's not the case. But I could tell you, I live in Jersey. I work in the city. And you go into New York City with a MAGA hat, maybe not so much today, but 8, 9, 10 years ago, you probably needed a security detail with you because that's how vile and crazy people can get. New York City's a wild place. And that I'm going to call it agnostic or even atheistic secular hatred that exists in these large blue cities. Now, I was born in this big blue city. But I wasn't raised that way. There was a lot of people that went to church, a lot of people that loved God and loved their fellow man. And it's still like that. I don't want to give New York City too much of a bad rep because it really isn't that way. If you're a tourist in New York City and you get lost, you may get stuck up. But I would say 8 out of 10 times, the people around you are going to be the first to give you good advice. Hey, no, you want to go over here. Take this train. You want to go. You need a cab? Hold on. Let me help you get it. Right? Because people in New York are helpful. They may not be polite, but they're helpful. Because that's really how most New Yorkers are. But when it comes to the left, and the left in the media, the left in our government, the left in higher education, these people are out for blood. And for years, I've made these radical statements, right? These crazy statements that it's the godless left. And I call them the godless left on purpose because this is why. And they're graduating to this new level. And like I said earlier in the show, it's not the first time that they've resorted to violence and doing this type of thing, but it's getting worse. Abraham Lincoln got it. He was the president. I don't justify it, but I understand it. There was the threat of losing all of the money they were making in the South. They wanted slavery. They wanted it to be the free labor they used for their industry. They were led by hate. I understand. The country was divided, but we've healed so much since then. And now it's like we're going in that direction again, Doug. We're going in this direction where it's like, oh, you're one of them? Oh, you're one of those people that thinks men should marry women? Oh, you're one of those, what do? Pray on Sundays? What do you think, Jesus is Lord? Right? We're really going in that direction. And that's a bad thing for America. It's a bad thing for my children, and that concerns me. I mean, literally, a radio host, author, leader of a college movement, young dad, great American, murdered because they didn't like what he said. And this guy was not divisive, as some of them say. Anyway, Doug, I want to thank you for your thoughts. I appreciate you listening to the show. Thank you for calling the show. I hope to hear from you more often. Shout out to everybody that's out in Lynn Creek, Missouri. KRMS in the building. And I will continue. Let me see. Where do I want to go? There was another call I wanted to go to here. Here we go. It was Bob, Riverhead, New York. New York in the building. WJJF. Bob, how are you, sir?
Okay, Rich. You may not agree with me on this, but the left wants anarchy to create fear so that people will give up their liberties for controlling security. I think we should treat political assassination as treason, bring back execution by stoning so that the victim's family can participate if they want to, and make it a pay-per-view event and give all the money to the victim's family. That way, the bad guy maybe has to pay twice, and this acts as a deterrent. What do you think?
Listen, Bob, I think it's incredibly creative. I'm going to say that. Look, I do think I do support capital punishment. I do. How? Stoning, I don't know. Not that I'm opposed to it. I don't want to sound like a prude here. I'm just saying it just seems like an impractical way, right? I think that there's probably a safer way. If you're doing stoning, it's got to be a real secured area. It just sounds brutal, right? It sounds like it's going to be a violation of our constitutional rights to, cruel and unusual punishment. But I think the the lethal injection or whatever's constitutionally sound these days, should be on the table for these things. Whether it's an act of treason or not, I guess you'd have to redefine the treason statute. But I'm not here to defend the left, right? I'm here to defend America. And I'll say this. You're right that they are trying to cause a problem. Let me rephrase. They're not trying to cause a problem. The left is actively engaged in a civil war in our country. Period. Punto y final. Period. The end. They're doing it. They are killing conservatives who happen to be Christians. Maybe they killed him because he was a Christian. I would venture to say they probably killed him because he was successful. Not financially, but successful in turning the hearts and minds of people that adhered to the following that he built. And they said, you know what? This guy is a danger. Young people, we're losing young people to America. And the person who's doing it is Charlie Kirk. And this is why they put a target on him. And this is why there's a target on Donald Trump, who was able to do the same thing. And this is why there's a target on anybody who's succeeding in converting the hearts and minds and sharing a new way of thinking or a different way of thinking. And none of that is lost on me. I agree that they want to destabilize things. I agree that they want to send a message and say, hey, you know what? Stop talking about the truth. Stop talking about God. Stop talking about doing the right thing. Stop talking about traditional values. Stop talking about all that crazy stuff, because guess what? People are listening and they agree. And the people that were once lockstep with us, Hispanic men, Hispanic women, black men, some black women, right? All of a sudden, the death grip that they had on the minority mind, they're losing it. So now what do? We got to kill these people. We've got to kill these people. And this is nothing new, right? We've seen this before, but we haven't seen it lately. And it's now come rearing its ugly head. And I've got to say, we are actively engaged in a hot civil war in our country, and it's being waged by the left. Bob in Riverhead, thank you for your call. WJJF in the building. And listen, it's not just we the people that are being attacked here, right? There's more, right? There's active attacks from foreign people. You got China that's out there actively trying to hack America, Iran actively trying to hack America. People need to be protected even in their digital lives. This is why I'm signed up now with our friends at Webroot. They provided me with a protection package to protect my digital reputation, to protect my financial stuff, and I think it's great. And if you want to have a better digital life, then it's a lot more than the major credit reporting agencies, because they just had a data breach. Over 4 million people exposed and all of their private personal financial data. This is a big example of why it's so important to have products like Webroot Total Protection. Their total protection plan includes antivirus protection against emerging threats like malware, ransomware, and phishing, identity scams, and it gives you protection for up to 10 identities, VPN, cloud backup, and more. This plan also includes $1 million in coverage for fraud expenses, reimbursement, 24/7 United States customer service support, and an elder fraud hotline. They even give you identity and dark web monitoring. And, you know, that's a big thing nowadays. All of it's part of this product. It's an all-in-one product, like a one-stop shop for both individuals and families. Webroot allows all of us, including me, to have a better digital life. So let Webroot Total Protection give you the peace of mind that we need right now, especially with these evolving digital threats. Now, if you want to get 50% off the Webroot Total Protection or Webroot Essentials, when you go to webroot.com, go to webroot.com/Rich Valdes. Of course, that's Valdes with an S. And you'll get 50% off the Webroot Total Protection plan. Or you can get the other plan, which is called Webroot Essentials, when you go to webroot.com/Rich Valdes.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdes.
Rich Valdes, who again will do a fine job, and I know you'll enjoy listening to him.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdes.
All right, amigos, welcome back. I'm going to continue with your calls. Let me see who's next up in the hit parade. We're going to go here with, hold on, stay with me. Dan. Dan is in Chicago, Illinois on WLS. Dan, go right ahead.
Hey, Rich. Thanks for taking my call. You know, Charlie's organization, he called it Turning Point, and I believe that this will be the turning point of the beginning of the tide turning. I didn't listen to a lot of Charlie Kirk. I'm familiar with him, but it just deeply troubles my soul that, you know, I'm a Christian, we're all Christians, and I know, you know, all persecuted Christians, we were always have been persecuted. But I think this is where, especially he's got a lot of young people with him. I think this is going to be where enough is enough. Like you were talking before with your last caller. This is a civil war, and I think it's going to be the beginning of, you know, good versus evil. I think this is. I'm not an end times, you know, Revelation person, but it's just kind of ironic that he called it turning.
I got you, and I agree. We must be at a turning point. Like Reagan said, we have to be informed patriots. Charlie was one, and he was murdered for being one. Dan, thank you for your call. Chicago, Illinois, WLS. Let's go to Brunswick, Ohio, WNIR, line 7. John, go right ahead.
Hi. Charlie Kirk had these debates at a number of universities, not only here, but I believe overseas as well, with a combined student population of hundreds of thousands. How many of the liberals tried to hurt him over the last, say, 5 years? How many?
Many.
Out of the hundreds of thousands, how many?
Many.
How many? Give me a ballpark. Justify this civil war.
I'm not going to give you a ballpark, but I know on a million different occasions he was talking about how he was attacked when he went to this one. This is why he traveled with security, John.
Workers who were threatened. They had to change their lives over it. Do you know how many conservative pundits I can name to you right now?
Take a deep breath, John. Take a deep breath. It's hard to hear you because you're on speaker and you're freaking out. What are you saying?
No, I'm not freaking out.
Oh, what do you call this?
0.00001% of the population endorses political violence.
John, listen to me. Listen to me. Charlie Kirk is dead. How many of the people that went to his events are dead because of him? Zero. You're trying to make the argument that he wasn't threatened when he's actually dead? I can't hear you, sir. You hung up. There you are. Say it again.
I have my mic locked again.
I hear you talking about your mic. You're not saying anything useful. Talk.
They're dead too.
There's only one person that's dead, and it's Charlie Kirk. Pendejo. I'll be right back.
Night with Rich Valdes.
All right, amigos, welcome back. Rich Valdes. Man, what a piece of work, this guy. I couldn't hear him half the time because he was probably on speaker recording himself so that he could put this on YouTube and say that he won up and bested Rich Valdes as he was trying to make the case that 0.0 something of the people that attended Charlie Kirk's events have ever tried to harm him. What kind of argument is that when this guy was shot to death? And pardon my lack of softer language, bleeding to death on television. I mean, gruesome, murdered in a gruesome way. And John in, was that Brunswick, Ohio? You are a tremendous pendejo. And then the conviction you have your panties in a bunch. You sound like you say you don't, but you do. You've got like an actual wedgie going on, an atomic wedgie. You're so uptight when you don't have a leg to stand on in this argument. Truly is bizarre. Truly bizarre. You spend more time complaining than you do thinking. Anyway, I'm going to get to the rest of your calls momentarily, but really, just a terrible thing. There's also a shooting in Colorado, by the way. A shooting in Colorado in a high school. We're going to give you the scoop on that in a moment. But as promised, my final conversation with Charlie Kirk was about, I think, the last book he wrote. And we talked about that. We talked about a number of things. And he was really into, again, he had a big mind. He looked at things philosophically. And we had some discussion about that. Listen to this. To talk about the overall effect of everything that's going on, I want to talk to Charlie Kirk. He's the founder and president of Turning Point USA, and he's the author of a brand new book by 45 Books. Big shout out to our buddy Sergio Gore. The book is called Right Wing Revolution, How to Beat the Woke and Save the West. Charlie Kirk, welcome back, sir.
Thanks so much. Big fan. Your impact is really big. Honored to be here.
Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. So let's talk about the book, because you always kick ass with the books, honestly. The last one you wrote on the college scam, it was really in-depth. You did your thing with it, and I think it's a conversation that Americans want to have, and this is one that Americans are already having, right? People realize that we have to not only save America, we have to save the West. Tell us more.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's out actually today. People can order it at 45books.com. That's 45books.com. And look, the whole idea is that we're up against an existential threat, and that threat is within. We call it the woke. We define what the woke is. And in short, it is complain until you control. That is what the woke is. So keep on complaining until you control the civilization. And they're very, very good at it. But it's even more pernicious than that and a greater threat than that. What they've been able to do is take over the FBI, take over the Department of Justice, take over Google, take over the biggest institutions in our country. And we put together a blueprint, a battle plan of how decent people can fight. We start with the micro, where you can actually fight, and then the macro, where we can where we talk about the country at large, what public policy, what executive orders, what individual things that we need to do to actually fight and win. So this is a very timely book, as right now we're seeing so many different things happening in the country, and the stakes have never been higher. So we're really thrilled with the success so far. And again, it's 45books.com. That's 45books.com.
All right, amigos, the book is Right Wing Revolution, How to Beat the Woke and Save the West. Now, Charlie Kirk, when you decided to write this book, and obviously you've got a lot to say, you're all over the internet, on the radio, with your conferences, you're doing a lot, especially for young people. But when you decided to write this book, what was the key message you had in mind?
Well, first and foremost, it's challenging people to do more and to fight more and to be better. Right now we're seeing a lot of people that are wondering what they can do to actually retake the country. And in the book, Right Wing Revolution, I articulate specifics and challenge the reader. It's very readable, and it's incredibly wide-reaching. It has details that I've never put before in books. It also, in any of my previous books, it also has personal stories of how I was trying to get Kerry Lake elected in 2022 and how we were ultimately unsuccessful, how that ended up being really important in my development in trying to now put forward Turning Point Action, our ballot chasing program. You know, these are individual stories that I talk about, and you're right, we do a lot at Turning Point, and I host a national radio show and podcasts and all that, and people say, Charlie, how do you juggle it all? I talk about that in the book as well, some life advice, if you will. I'm only 30 years old, but we talk about how we need to turn around the declining birth rates, about how we need to revitalize the American spirit, how we need to increase church attendance and get to a country where you can feel comfortable leaving your doors unlocked. And right now we are seeing a form of a right-wing revolution happening across the West. We're seeing it in France. We're seeing it in Belgium. We're seeing it in the Netherlands. We're seeing it in Germany. And the United States has always been the lone beacon of freedom and sensibility in this chaotic world. But we are under threat and attack from this lethal and this pernicious virus, this ideology that has infested the entire civilization. And it's time for us to recenter our bearings, and that is what the call to action is in the right-wing revolution.
Folks, Right Wing Revolution, How to Beat the Woke and Save the West is the book. Check it out at 45books.com. That's 45books.com. Charlie Kirk, I love it. I love what you're talking about. I love what you're doing. And this is something I think, as a conservative activist, I think everybody has to do more. We all need to do more. But that's always the question. People always feel kind of sequestered to this imaginary box that they have where they think, you know what, well, I'm retired, or I'm this, or I'm that, or I'm just 18. I'm just lowly old me. What can I do? How can I do it? What's your message to that person?
Well, and that's what the book really goes after. And we talk about how every single citizen can play a big role. We talk about how every single person is able to use their agency to improve the country materially. And it starts with the individual. It starts with you. It starts with, believe it or not, changing your diet, losing weight. I talk about in this book how I was 50 pounds heavier a year and a half ago, and what I did to solve that, and how I'm more productive. I have more energy, and I'm able to do more. And you might say, "Oh, what does a weight loss message have to do with saving the country?" A lot. I mean, if you want to be a healthy person, if you want to be the full citizen, not just a slave or a subject is a better word, then you need to be uncontrollable by the federal government, and that includes your health, and that also includes where you purchase your food, and it includes the currency that you use from cryptocurrency, and not allowing the government have a monopoly on your money. We talk about all this in Right Wing Revolution. It's a comprehensive book, and it's really an agenda for national revitalization. It's an agenda to get our people and this country back into gear, because we have drifted leftward in a terrible, bitter Marxist direction. And I go through it in great detail. Also in the book, again, there's so much. I talk about how Donald Trump on day one, God willing, he becomes president, what he can do on day one. What can he actually do? What executive orders can he sign? What can he do to save the country and to really restrain the flow of illegals on the southern border, to rein in the administrative state and the federal Leviathan? So included there is also a punch list of what we want the federal government to do, and also what states can do. So it's very comprehensive. I will say this: if people buy it, you will learn a lot. It is full of data. It is hopeful. It's inspiring. We also talk about how the conservative movement, we tend to believe that we're always in decline and how we're in this doom loop. Mm-hmm. But no, we actually have a lot to celebrate. We have the Second Amendment is in a better place than it was 20 years ago. The fight for life, I'm very pro-life, is in a better place than it was 20 years ago. The courts are in a better place than it was 20 years ago. We control more governor's mansions and more attorneys general positions across the country than we did 20 years ago. If you don't know these things, then you've been kind of in a doom loop, and we paint an optimistic, forward-thinking, positive agenda, and we say that, hey, look, not everything we're winning on. There's plenty of things that we've lost in the last 20 years, but there's things we've won, things we can learn from, and the threat right now is wokeism. The threat is within, and to defeat this enemy, we need a right-wing revolution. People can find it at 45books.com.
The book is Right Wing Revolution, How to Beat the Woke and Save the West. You know how I do. If I like the book, I say get 2 copies, one for yourself, one to give away. Get on there now. Do the pre-order. This ships tomorrow. 45books.com, 45books.com. That's the numbers, 45books, BOOKS.com. Now, Charlie Kirk, in the 2 minutes that we have remaining, I want to get your take. You mentioned Donald Trump on day one, and I want to get your take on how this election cycle unfolds. We've got all sorts of moving parts. People are predicting Biden won't be the candidate. I feel like it's a little late for that, but you never know if there's a surprise at the Democrat convention. We've got Trump securing the nomination earlier than ever. And it seems to be a very atypical election year, with every poll that I could think of saying that the Republican nominee is in the best position to win, and which makes sense to me, but I'm always prepared for the worst. How do you see this unfolding?
Yeah, look, the 50-50 shot. Ignore the polls and do the work, and that's what we're doing every day at Turning Point Action. The work is registering voters and chasing ballots, and I'm telling you, they might pull Biden. I think it's a very interesting story. I have been, no, they're not going to pull him, no, they're not going to pull him, but there's a new Daily Mail story, which is very well sourced from Charlie Sperling. He's a very serious, very thoughtful reporter for the Daily Mail. He's legit. Like, that's not tabloid stuff. That's real smart stuff. And I read this story and I said, boy, that he just wouldn't just put it up if he didn't have good sourcing. And so they're saying that the Obamas and the Schumers and the Pelosi, kind of the crime families of the Democrat oligarchy, are combining forces to try to remove Joe Biden. That could be possible. Boy, what a mess that would be. He would have to want to do it, or he'd have to relinquish control. What that would look like, the convention, it's already going to be chaotic in Chicago with all the October 7th kind of fallout and all the Muslim protests associated with that. Mm-hmm. So what a time. I'll tell you, here's my message. Donald Trump is stronger than ever, so let's go register new voters. Everybody listening, you need to go register new low-propensity voters. You need to find them. You need to bring them on the voter rolls. You need to do the work and get into the streets and ignore the noise. And then Donald Trump could be ultimately successful. I don't believe The Economist, 78% chance. That's nonsense. Go do the work. We have a 50-50 chance to save this country. It's going to require a full-out effort, which is also exactly what I talk about in the book.
All of the Valdes VIPs that are listening, amigos, the book is Right Wing Revolution, How to Beat the Woke and Save the West. Make sure you get 2 copies of this, one for yourself, one to give away. Charlie Kirk, let everybody know how they can keep up to speed with the work that you're doing overall.
They can follow us on social media. It's charliekirk.com, but the biggest call to action right now is buy the book if you can, 45books.com. It's our big push. I think it'll be really worthwhile, and Sergio does a great job of running 45 Books. Super thrilled to be working with him. He is the president's publisher, and so it's the same company. We're really doing a great work here, and I think people will gain a lot of knowledge, some wisdom, and a battle plan to be able to beat these bad guys so we can take back our country.
Charlie Kirk, you're a gentleman, a scholar, and a patriot. Thanks for staying up late with us. Good luck with the book. Godspeed.
Thanks so much. God bless. Thank you.
Amigos, that was my last conversation with Charlie Kirk before the election. Was he right or was he right? I'll be right back.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdes. Call now, 833-4-VALDES. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDES. That's Valdes with an S. America at Night with Rich Valdes.
All right, to the phones we go. Let's go to Jesus calling us from Culver, Indiana, listening on WLS out of Chicago. Jesus, go right ahead.
Yeah, how you doing, Valdes?
Good, brother.
I'm Boricua
I've been better.
from Indiana.
All right. I didn't know we had us out there.
Yeah, and I had to move from a neighborhood because they knew me and the wife was Trump supporters. Everybody got rowdy with us. People we knew for over 20 years.
Wow. Let me tell you,
drink beer with them, whatever.
This is political. The new political revolution in our country is to ostracize those you disagree with. This is how they did it in Cuba. It's how they've done it in a lot of places with the support of their government, the communist governments. And we're seeing all of that stuff happening here. I've had a friend, a leftist friend, for years, and since high school. And recently I sent her something that I didn't think would offend her. It wasn't even political. It was more spiritual in nature. And she was grossly offended by something. It was a pro-marriage type of thing. Grossly offended by it. I got offended that she got offended. I said something silly like, "Oh, you lefties, I love ruffling your feathers." She got even more offended that I called her a lefty, and I guess we're not friends anymore. And I'm talking about 25, 30 years of friendship. So listen, nobody's immune, my brother. Jesus in Culver, Indiana, WLS. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it. Ruben, Amarillo, Texas, KGNC. Go right ahead.
Hey, come to the big Texas, brother.
I love Texas.
Yeah, there's a big Texas. There's a steak, 72 ounce. You eat it, you get it for free. Hey, how's it going, Vato?
Aki Meng, what's on your mind, brother?
Hey, listen, man. I want to first give condolence to Charlie Kirk, and also for the girl that got killed in the subway.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it was in New York or North Carolina. And also for that old couple that got killed. And I don't hear too much about that.
Let me tell you, Ruben, not to cut you off, but I was going to talk about that couple that got killed. And honestly, some of the clips on it, I thought might confuse everybody because they start with the manhunt is still on the way. And we've got a manhunt now for the assassin of Charlie Kirk. You got a manhunt for the people that killed that couple. There's been so much killing in the last several days. And, the theme, except for today, the radical left. Now, I'm pretty sure we're going to find out that the person that was responsible for today's killing had some sort of animus against Charlie Kirk because of politics. But we're going to have to wait and see. Godspeed to you, brother. Thank you for the call. Let me see. Do I do it? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a pause right here. We're coming right back. Arizona, Texas, North Carolina, and more. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdes.
All right, here we go. Speed round. Let's go to Pat, Arizona. Go right ahead, KFNX. Pat, are you there? Line 10.
I'm there. I'm here. You hear me?
Yes, sir. I do. Loud and clear.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
I'm sorry, sir. I'll tell you what, this Kirk fellow, he gave the only thing he had, and that was his life for his country. The man was always good at talking to people, even if he disagreed, and he made people think, and that's the sad thing. And I'm going to tell you something. This is for you about that speech you were talking about at that park. You have a brother that's in the police and in security knowledge. Ask him what you should do, but be careful. But don't be silent, because that's what Kirk is saying.
Don't listen, brother. Pat, one thing you could rest assured, I will not be silent. I will not be cowed. I will not be silenced. Trust me, if they're shooting at me, I'm shooting right back. Pat in Sedona, Arizona, thank you for the call, my brother. Godspeed to you. Let's see, where do we go here? We're going to, there was somebody here I wanted to go to. David, San Francisco, KSFO. Be respectful.
Oh, it's easy to do. I'm a big Sherlock Holmes murder mystery thing. And que bono, who benefits? I figure somebody that Charlie cheated shot him. Was it the gold brokers or was it the Bitcoin that he pushed both, and he tricked people into buying them both? And
sir, you are not only lacking in sensitivity, but you're also misinformed. And I'm going to border on the line of saying stupid when it comes to making comments. I've never seen allegations about Charlie cheating anybody on crypto. But again, leave it to the crazy lefties in San Francisco like David to make such a comment. KSFO in the building. Thank you for your call. Another pendejo. Where do we go with minutes to go? Seconds to go on the clock. How many seconds do I have? Okay, I'm good. I'm doing it. Let me see. Where do I want to go? Jeremy, Cleveland, Ohio, WNIR. Quickly.
Hey, Rich. Yeah, real quick. The whole reason why they got rid of him, in my opinion, is they saw the impact he was having with the younger generations. And
100% right. The impact that he made on the younger generation was one of the biggest threats to the left they've ever seen, because they thought they had it lock, stock, and barrel. I want to give a shout out to Robert in Sherwood, Illinois, Kevin in Wilmington, North Carolina, Paul in Boise, Idaho, Walter in St. Augustine, Florida, Tony in Montreal, Blake in Tyler, Texas. The attack has all the hallmarks of a professional hit. I keep hearing that. I don't know that I agree with it yet, but either way, we know that this did go down. Godspeed to all of you Americans, to Charlie Kirk's family. Hasta la próxima. God bless you, America. I'm Rich Valdes.